Good evening and welcome to Prime Edition. Tonight we put a focus on the operation that is about to start in the north of Kenya, trying to flush out bandits. Will it succeed? Tonight we host the Member of Parliament for Pokot South, that is Dr. Ariko John. And we also have the Member of Parliament for Sigor in West Pokot, that is Peter Lokachapong. We're discussing the about to be launched operation and of course the place of politics in the renewed assault. Welcome to the broadcast. Here are tonight's highlights. In pursuit of evidence, house of former Interior boss Fred Matiang'i broken into. Living on the edge. Villagers in Tiati express mixed feelings amid a looming security operation. And Raila cracks the whip as Azimio la Umoja announces the new parliamentary leadership lineup. Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Welcome to this broadcast. Now, to begin our bulletin tonight, panic has gripped the Tiati sub-county following the announcement of the deployment of a military to banditry-prone areas in the country. Some locals have told KBC that they would rather flee the area than face the military. Others have decided to close their businesses ahead of the operation, which is in response to the runaway insecurity.
A spot check by KBC around Tiati town has revealed that locals are worried about the impending arrival of the military there. Closed businesses, paralysis in the transport sector, and a community in flight are the stories here. Those courageous enough to stay put want the operation to be conducted within the confines of the law.
Tungeomba serikali kwamba kafyu iwe kitu ambayo inatofautisha. Huyu ni mtu mkora ama sababu kuna saa hii kuna sana watu wanatumia kafyu kwa njia nyingine ya kujifaidisha. So hiyo ndio kitu tungeomba watafute njia mzuri ya kutusaidia, wafuate mkora na sisi wale hatuna makosa tufanye biashara zetu, tuendelee na maisha yetu.
Kwa hivyo serikali wafanye hima. Watafute wakora, hatukatai. Hatuna wakora, tuko nao. Lakini wako sehemu mbalimbali. Hawako town.
Another resident tells us that life is already tough here. Businesses are hurting and they cannot withstand more problems.
Tukifungiwa sasa kasi za 11 ndio hiyo tena hii mboga tena hatutajua kama itakuja tena juu wataanza sasa kufunga barabara, tutaanzia wapi? Tutalisha na nini watoto? Si tutahangaika. Ndio tena watoto wanaenda shule, tutalisha na nini? Na ukame sasa hatuna mashamba, hatuna kitu, tutalisha na nini?
No one has surrendered a firearm as ordered by the Interior Ministry and time is ticking.
Naomba machifu waongee na wananchi wasingoje paka wapigwe ndio warudishe bunduki. Kama huko na bunduki ambao unajua ni haramu, operation iko na hiyo operation ni real, si ya mchezo. Kwa hivyo ili mtu awe on the right side, tii amri ya serikali, tii agizo ya serikali.
In Turkana County, elders want leaders held accountable.
Afunge ile boda ya Uganda na West Pokot. Kwa sababu hiyo boda ndio inatoa bunduki wakati saa ya operation wanaenda mpaka wapi? Wanaenda Uganda, wanajificha huku, dakika ya mwisho wanarudi na bunduki.
Wajeshi waingie, wafuruge, wanyang'anya watu mabunduki, na wakitaka kunyang'anya watu bunduki. Sio kunyang'anya watu bunduki, tuwezi nyang'anya. Hizo ng'ombe zimejaa hapo ndio zimebeba bunduki.
The elders allege that bad leadership is the heart of the runaway banditry. Beatrice Gatonyengetich, Prime Edition.
And of course, this evening, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation says it has obtained a search order to obtain CCTV recordings from the home of the former Interior CS, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. We have that story. It will be coming up later on this broadcast. But in the meantime, the government has pledged to enhance incentives in Kenya's health sector to attract more healthcare service providers. President William Ruto says the approach will enhance the well-being of citizens.
Of Kenya's healthcare services are provided by the public sector through the Health Ministry and other government agencies. This is according to the Ministry of Health. The government says it is looking to build on this through more collaboration with the private sector to enhance health services.
It is with clarity that I believe the best way to, the most efficient way of delivering on our health objective is to create a seamless partnership.
Stripping the provision of health services and placing a heavy burden on the government health facilities. We are pleased that the new hospital will play a crucial role in helping the government in its efforts to offer high quality and affordable healthcare to all citizens.
Speaking at the official opening of the new AAR hospital along Kiambu Road in Nairobi County, President William Ruto assured investors of Kenya's intent to foster the growth of new enterprises in specialized sectors.
We intend to turn Kenya into the most attractive destination for healthcare and medical tourism in Africa and possibly globally. I am confident that we can and will achieve our objective because all that is required is the right people and the right investment.
The president noted that the government will endeavor to lower the cost of medicine and medical supplies. Alanoko, Prime Edition.
To one of the big stories today, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, says it has obtained a search order to obtain CCTV recordings from the home of the former Interior Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to establish facts surrounding an alleged police raid last week. In a statement on Wednesday, DCI boss Mohammed Amin said that there has been significant progress in the ongoing investigations. He said comprehensive investigations indicate no complaint has been made at any police station regarding the alleged raid. The DCI says upon analyzing the footage, action will be taken against security officers or agencies deemed to have contravened the law, including disseminating false information to the public.
They came in pretending that they had orders from the court to come and do a search, and they even arrested the security officers who were here. They also confiscated telephones of the staff who were in this residence. I'm told that they've confiscated a number of things in this residence. Of course, you remember we were here some times back, and then they said that they did not come. That was something that was a hoax, according to them at that time. And I'm being told that they have been in court. At first they went to Kiambu, supposed to get an order, which they did not get. Then they came to the court here in Nairobi, and I'm told they did not get orders. The lawyer here, Dantan Omari, was there in court, and I'm told the media was also present when they were denied an order, and the matter is supposed to be heard on the 7th of next month. But then here they're pretending to say that they have an order. We don't know where they got that other order.
And of course, the events being referenced there by the Honorable Raila Odinga, and the court has declined to issue orders to compel two security firms who are manning the current residence of the Interior Cabinet Secretary, the former one, that is Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to provide CCTV footage to the Director of Criminal Investigations. The CCTV footage is expected to help unravel events at the former CS's home. In an incident reported on Wednesday, Senior Principal Magistrate Wandi Anyamo said the application by the DCI can only be conversed when all parties are served with documents and are present to give the court the opportunity to give appropriate orders.
The firm and Armsec Security Company will not be compelled to hand over footage of what transpired earlier this month at former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i's home until all parties in the matter are served. Matiang'i's lawyer told journalists at Milimani Law Courts that the Directorate of Criminal Investigations should follow due process of the law in making such an application.
We are not objecting to the CCTV footages being handed over, but within the law. The Data Protection Act is very clear. We will be required to be served.
They noted that the application by detectives brought under the Robbery with Violence Act was unlawful, as the same has since been declared unconstitutional by a superior court.
One of the investigating officers alleges that there was an attempted robbery at the house of the former CS, and that is the reason they are using to persuade the Honorable Court to grant them these orders. The High Court has, in a previous occasion, declared that Section 297, which outlawed attempted robbery with violence, and declared it as to be unconstitutional.
The former CS has insisted that there was no robbery in his residence on 8th February, and instead it was a well-choreographed raid by the police. Consequently, the court directed the application be served upon all parties and the matter be heard by inter-parties on 7th March 2023. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troinjue.
The corridors of justice to some politics now. The Azimio la Umoja coalition has fired Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo from her position as minority whip in what is seen as the beginning of a crackdown on members who have aligned themselves to the ruling Kenya Kwanza. Azimio leader Raila Odinga has elevated Narok Senator Ledamo Olekina to the whip position, with his new deputy being Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna. The changes await accession, of course, by the Senate Speaker Amason Jeffa Kingi. Owing to the visit by a section of ODM MPs and 30 Jubilee MPs to State House, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has flexed his muscles by disciplining the errant members. After locking out Langata MP Felix Odiwuor, alias Jalango, from an Azimio parliamentary group meeting last week, the Azimio leader has extended his whip to the Senate. After an ODM Senate parliamentary group meeting Wednesday afternoon, Raila announced the firing of Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo from the minority whip position.
The minority leader is Honorable Stewart Mazayo, deputed by Honorable Senator Enoch Wambua from Kitui, and the whip is Honorable Ledama Olekina, deputized by Honorable Edwin Sifuna.
Raila says he's putting his troops in order as he champions the fight for electoral justice.
Kenyans must defend electoral justice. People fought for a long time to bring multi-party back to this country, and they are not going to surrender that again and take this country back to the dark days of single-party dictatorship.
The former premier has organized a series of pressure rallies in Kisii and Kisumu this weekend and a prayer session for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, which he says will be conducted outside the IEBC Anniversary Towers offices. In the meantime, a sharp division has ensued at the National Assembly as legislators debated the constitutional amendment proposals brought before the House through a memo by the President. While MPs allied to the Azimio la Umoja coalition strongly opposed the motion, terming the amendment a non-priority to Kenyans amid the tough economic times. Legislators aligned to the ruling party argued that the issues raised are equally pertinent and timely. Kenya Kwanza maintained that the office of the opposition leader is not for a particular individual, but for posterity.
The National Assembly.
A day after the bicameral parliament resumed its sittings with a full in-tray of business for consideration, the four proposals by the President in an executive memo were given priority. The constitutional amendment to create an official opposition office, dividing the House into two.
There are those who want us to imagine that we need to go into a referendum, and therefore the push to go back to BBI that was seeking to create positions for individuals. Honorable Speaker, I have said we must disabuse that notion even as we generally debate these proposals.
I therefore urge this House, as we debate, to look at the reality of our country, to look at national interest, to look at legislating not only for posterity, but also for uniting this country.
Of the four issues that have been raised in the President's memorandum, 3 issues would expressly require referendum. Only one relating to the funds, especially CDF funds and the oversight fund, would not require referendum under Article 255(3).
Justice and Legal Affairs Chair, who is set to lead the committee in conducting public participation on the proposals, says the decision will lie with the people.
If we go to Capitol Hill, where it used to be the last time, possibly to be said we are going for Mwosho Moja. So, where do we find him? Where do we take his views from? Do we meet him in one of the committee rooms in the parliament? That is dishonorable. From now henceforth, we should consider according that office the respect it deserves.
Members also differed on the proposal to amend standing orders to allow cabinet secretaries answer questions in the chamber, saying it will be allowing strangers in the house.
Instead of writing memorandums to us, these are issues we can deal with. We can sit down as a country and agree that we want to go the route of constitutional amendment to introduce the official leader of opposition, to introduce cabinet secretary to come to parliament and become members of parliament instead of passing through the back door and escape routes to look for a way of bringing strangers in the house.
That the president wants to bring an issue of constitutionality whereby you don't fight the person who was second after the president is just trying to fit. Is just trying to beg for position. That person should have an official office, should have all constitutional support.
Members were, however, unanimous on proposals to implement the 2/3 gender rule and entrench various national government funds, such as the NGCDF, into the constitution, saying they were long overdue. Meanwhile, Senate is set to start considering the budget policy statement for the financial year 2023-2024, medium-term debt management strategy, the Division of Revenue Bill and the County Allocation of Revenue Bill.
I urge you all to prioritize the scrutiny of the budget policy statement, taking into consideration our most important function of safeguarding devolution.
Meanwhile, proceedings at the Senate almost came to a halt Wednesday after senators allied to Azimio walked out, claiming the Speaker failed to communicate minorities' whip leadership changes forwarded to him. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
Time for us to take a breather here on Prime Edition, but of course business is also upcoming and sports with Karen Kibet. Later on, our conversation on the renewed assault, flashing of bandits in the north of Kenya. I have the Member of Parliament for Turkana South, Dr. Rico John, and I also have the Member of Parliament for Sigori in West Pokot, that is Peter Lokachapong. Don't go too far.
I think the whole of the thinking part of Africa will wish to join me in paying tribute to these two distinguished African leaders on the work that they have done today. There is no doubt at all that without their leadership, willingness, desire, and indeed leadership in this task today, we as a conference might not have met with so much success.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Enjoy a selection of the best. Regina Ray and Tingazi.
Bado hujamwambia unamlike. Umerealiza jamwachilia mkono kutoka nikuje hapa.
Love blossoms in Mexico with the Trier sisters in Las Bandidas.
I beg you, please don't go.
I want you to be the happiest man in the world with a woman who appreciates and respects you.
An array of music rave.
Make me
lose?
You are my everything.
2 local gems. And we sit to chat with the Thiambo.
I can't even tell whether you're looking at me, seeing me. With the Louis Vuitton.
Classic comedy.
Makono too.
Say that again.
Enjoy the Divas programming this February only on KBC Channel 1. Kenya's watching.
After the conclusion of an impressive Athletics Kenya Cross-Country Championships, Team Kenya now sets her sight on the 44th edition of the Global Showpiece, the World Athletics Cross-Country Championships Bathurst 23 in Australia. Lined up for the titles is Kenya's contingent of 30 world beaters, ready to contest with more than 550 athletes from over 60 nations. Enjoy these spectacular races from Bathurst, Australia on Saturday, 18 February 2023, live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Plans to adopt a new identification regime have gathered momentum following the launch of a training for civil registration officers. The rollout of a unique personal identifier that is set for 1st of March 2023 will ease the registration of births and deaths and help clear backlogs at the registrar of persons. UPI will serve as the ID number on attaining 18 years, the registration number for National Hospital Insurance Fund NHIF, National Social Security Fund NSSF, and the driving license number.
Immigration Principal Secretary Julius Bitalk, the unique personal identifiers will act as a lifetime ID for newborns.
So when they are born, the nurse will go to e-citizen portal, where they will key in the ID number of the mother. Information is populated, then the registrar will confirm, or rather will approve, to say this child is a Kenyan.
The identifier will be issued across the country to children who are of Kenyan citizenship.
A lot of paperwork will be drastically reduced, okay? You'll be more efficient. Our projection is once all these 5,000 services have been onboarded, we are projecting because the current government revenue is about 1.3 trillion. We believe that will be threefold.
We are in what we call technological revolution. What drives the world now is technology. That is why we cannot be left behind.
In compliance with the Births and Deaths Registration Act, it will also be adopted for children born outside the country to Kenyan citizens and who are eligible for Kenyan citizenship. Piers Bitalk, however, clarified that UPI is not intended to be a substitute for the Huduma number that was introduced under the previous administration. Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
No woman in Kenya holds top business positions such as Chief Executive Officer in any media company. This is according to the 2022 Women in News Leadership Mapping. However, 33% of women in media in Kenya occupy editorial lead positions. Media houses have therefore been challenged to ensure more women ascend to decision-making positions.
The 2022 Women in News Leadership Mapping consists of data collected in 192 media companies in 17 countries. The findings are divided into two categories, including business lead and editorial lead. The business lead consists of decision makers such as chief executive officers, while the editorial lead consists of editors-in-chief and executive directors. Kenya ranks lowest alongside Rwanda and Somalia, with no woman occupying the business lead position. Zambia, on the other hand, has 20% of women in business lead positions. In the editorial lead positions, Zambia has 57% of its women, followed by Tanzania at 56%, Malawi at 42%, Kenya at 33%, and Somalia accounts for 0%. Speaking on behalf of the ICT Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo, the National Director of Public Communications in the Ministry, Miriam Rahedi, challenged media houses to be at the forefront in ensuring gender parity.
This is a clear demonstration that we need to have conversations on gender parity in our newsrooms. As the government strives to meet the one-third gender rule, we appeal to the media to implement the same in our newsrooms.
And you know, power never gives. Power is grabbed, isn't it? You want something, you push, mpige kelele, then the boys club wanaona aibu wanawachilia kamoja, isn't it?
Kenya needs to think. There are days we had women who are CEOs. There are days we had women who are editors-in-chief and managing editors, and the situation needs to change.
They spoke in Nairobi during a skills building and networking conference by the Women in News Kenya Alums chapter. Nancy Okwari, Prime Edition.
And over 200,000 learners are yet to report to junior secondary school 3 or 2 weeks after the commencement of the first term. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu says the government will work to ensure adherence to the 100% transition policy, calling on parents to take the children to school. Mashogu says a multi-agency task force has been established to conduct a mop-up to ensure all the learners report to school.
The ambitious 100% transition policy appears to be in limbo. The government says close to 250,000 learners are yet to report to grade 7.
We are requesting the chiefs and assistant chiefs, Interior Ministry, to assist each other with my officers on the ground to make sure that each and every child gets into a junior secondary school.
Education CS Ezekiel Machogu has cautioned parents against transferring grade 7 and 8 learners to other schools.
Probably from levels 7 to 8, that will not be acceptable. And within the NEMI system, it will not be accepted, it will not be captured.
The CS who was speaking at Kenya School for TVET reiterated the government's commitment to align itself with the 21st century competence skills through the skilled labor institutions.
And we have promoted 3,329 tutors to various levels.
Meanwhile, the rebranding of TVET institutions is already underway across the country.
In 2019, there was a criteria that was developed and approved for deployment of principals. That criteria, once again, we are requesting it can be used so that we can have equity.
TVET principals are urging the government to double up efforts in resourcing the institutions for better output. With TVETs being the key driver to producing individuals with skills for self-employment, embracing them will help the country deal with the huge unemployment menace. Reporting for Prime Edition from Gigiri in the county of Nairobi, I'm Ruth Wamboy.
Now, it is estimated that 1 in every 10 people suffer from a certain form of mental disorder. Depression and anxiety are the leading mental illnesses diagnosed in Kenya. In our weekly segment, Cinemas and Theatre, we review the film Embraced that depicts the challenges of depression and how prayers bring hope to those affected. Here is Jacqueline Masharia with a review of that movie.
Patience is running out. Man up.
Embraced, a short film tells the story of Gerald, a man whose world is on the brink of falling apart. On one hand, he is behind schedules in settling his bills with the landlord threatening to throw him out of the house, and on the other hand, his mother's life is on the edge as she battles kidney failure with 14 days left to get another kidney transplant or face an untimely exit from the world. Following the outcomes, Gerald suffers depression and is tempted to take his life until he meets a man of God who changes his view on life challenges.
Got to meet someone who was really going through some tough times at that particular point. He was a close friend. And just seeing the way he was, going through these issues, and at that particular point, we hadn't really seen how he'll come out of the situation. But I needed to communicate to him through the film, because being a writer, an actor, and a director, I felt like I can tell best my story. This is a tool that I can use to share the hope and also to encourage someone else.
Produced and directed by Stephen Ochogo, the film features key cast members Peter Kawa, Benta Beatrice, Pastor T. Mwangi, Benson Ojua, among others.
I had actors that I know, lots of actors that I've worked with. So I engaged them in this project because I felt like, hey, I might not be able to meet the budget of, paying actors and paying the production and all that kind of stuff because it's very expensive. Production is not that easy. And most importantly, I would say, it was just by the grace of God.
Having been an actor both in theatre and film and now a producer, Ochogo notes that producing the film was completely different from the previous roles as an actor.
As a director now, you have to think of so many aspects. So you're dealing with your crew behind you, you're dealing with actors, and they have different personalities. There are actors within that script, and then there are people off the set. So you have to know how you talk to this person to help them get that character right, and that was the challenge, and it was challenging but also interesting.
Gerald, out of my office now.
You're a failure and a good-for-nothing husband.
Of the industry right now, I'd say it has grown tremendously. It is on the right trajectory right now. We are headed in the right direction. That's what I would say. That's why I'm proud. You can see most of our film right now are being aired on Netflix. You see the Country Queen and the rest. And it's a good work. It shows people are really putting in a lot of hard work.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto. Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number 757070. Account number andika neno Loto. Kisha weka star na nambari yako ya simu. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000.
Aulali.
Lipa kisha subiri draw. Welala. Nitakutimizia ndoto zako. Milioni 2 usiamini. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Before we head over to sports with Karen Kibet, let's do some business. And the awaited Kenyan-made mobile phone will cost 5,000 shillings. The government says the construction of the assembling facility is at an advanced stage, with the launch expected to happen in the second half of this year. Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has said the low-price phone will help deepen access to electronic government services and expand the number of smartphone devices in the country. Plans to have a Kenyan-made smartphone were floated 10 years ago, but lack of funds delayed the project.
Being home of the pioneer mobile money technology, Kenya is often regarded as a hotbed of innovation in Africa, thrusting the country on the global innovation hub. To cement this position, Kenya last year launched a 10-year detailed master plan that prioritizes investment in digital infrastructure, data management, digital upscaling, innovation, and policy and legal framework.
We've had several engagements in the last few weeks with the private sector. First, on the digital superhighway, we've had discussions with all the players who are involved in building the infrastructure and see how we can bring synergy in that sector.
We then also need to empower both the people working in government, but also our citizens to be able to access these services.
Speaking during the launch of the 12th Connected Summit, Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary said plans are at an advanced stage to start the assembly of a Kenyan-made mobile phone to enhance digital access. This year's father called on the private sector to invest in the development of 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic infrastructure to support efforts towards the realization of the digital economy.
It is an investment that as government we will only undertake 52% of that. The remaining 48% has to be rolled out by the private sector.
Speaking during this year's Connected Kenya Investor Summit, Owalo said the government plans to move all public services and payments to the digital platform by June this year. The theme for this year's summit is Endless Opportunities Shaping the Future, for more synergy between the government and the private sector to support the digital economy.
And based on feasibility studies that have been undertaken, we envisage that we should be able to have locally produced smart enabled telephones at a cost of about $40 per unit.
It is hoped that this year's Connected Summit will have outcomes that will define how ICT will continue to enable Kenya realize the objectives of the government's digital transformation agenda in line with Vision 2030, as well as the Kenya National Digital Master Plan.
Ahead of the Connect Summit 2023 that is scheduled for April, one thing is clear. For Kenya to fully realize a digital economy, government cannot do it alone. It requires investment from the private sector. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for Kenya Broadcasting Corporation.
Thank you, Regina. The Alliance for Green Revolution is recommending cropping a fast maturing and drought-resistant biofortified bean seeds variety. Head of Seed Research and Systems Development in the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, Dr. Jane Eninda, says various models of distribution are being explored to avail the high-yielding Angaza biofortified beans to farmers to promote commercialization of a micronutrient-filled variety.
About 27% of children aged under 5 in Kenya suffered from chronic malnutrition last year, with the situation worsened by the prolonged drought. In order to reach nutrition security, there should be a push towards adoption of biofortified crops, which pack more nutrients per unit than the regular variety.
These are micronutrients which are very, very important in terms of nutrition, enabling good health for the population and their benefits associated with it.
Dr. Eninda says, with advancement in biotechnology, the seed variety will only improve over time.
Every new technology must have an added advantage to the farmer. So they must be able to adapt to changing climate. Like low rainfall is coming, we have shorter seasons, more diseases are emerging. The best thing about these beans is that they actually have this added characteristic.
Mafuno imekuwa mingi. Wakati nilikuwa nalima tu ile ukulima wa kienyeji, sikuwa napata mafuno. Nilikuwa napanda ekari 3 natoa gunia 3. Lakini saa hii napanda kitu inaitwa Mother Demo 10 by 10 plot. Hiyo ni nikipanda na nikifanya spacing ya 75 by 15, hapo napata big yield.
A seed multiplication program has been started targeting arid and semi-arid areas. Ibak Said for Prime Edition.
And finally, in business, plans are underway to assist 400 beach management units transition into cooperatives to enhance regulated fishing. Already, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Cabinet Secretary Salim Vuria says 60 beach management units will in 2 weeks be converted to cooperatives in a move that will secure them funding to invest in modern fishing equipment.
Beach management units were established in Kenya to ensure sustainable utilization and management of the fisheries resource. They are being transitioned to cooperatives to formalize them for assistance from both the government and the private sector.
We want the fishermen to have modern boats and modern fishing gear. And it is through that cooperative model that they can be able to work with banks. It is through that cooperative model that they can also determine the price so that then they can guard against exploitation.
Mvuria says the government is stepping up efforts to reduce illegal fishing, especially in the Indian Ocean. The Lamu governor identified storage and marketing as the key challenges faced by fishermen across the country.
Governments, both national and county, is to facilitate our fishermen. They are not well facilitated.
Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
Welcome back. Let's now delve into sports matters. My name is Karen Kibet. Kisumu Lakers secured their second win in the ongoing Mozart Bet African Cup of Club Championship Hockey Tournament after beating Ghana Army Ladies 2-0 at the City Park Stadium. Lakers, who finished third in the Women's Premier League last season, got a walkover yesterday in the first match against Kada Queens after the Nigerian team failed to show up.
Kisumu Lakers forward and captain Alice Owiti opened the scoreboard in the first quarter with an impressive field goal, which was doubled in the 42nd minute by Aurelia Ateno at City Park Hockey Stadium.
Motivation yetu ni ili tucheze hard, tuchukue hii tutoke hapa with the trophy or the medal, ili at least jina yetu ijulikane, ndio at least mtu some well wishers from outside anaweza jaribu kuchip in ili asaidie timu yetu.
Timu sasa imepata nguvu kiasi, kwa maana wale wangetarajia wasumbue ndio wao wamewachapa, wamewalaza 2-0, na yeye imenipatia furaha sana kama
maybe kind of tiredness. Playing 2 matches and then playing today is a bit stressful, so we are just adjusting to it.
We have 2 matches. We know we are going to crash all. So at the end of the day, we will lead the table. Not problem. We don't have a problem at all. We have played all the biggest teams.
Earlier on, Strathmore University Women and Kenya Western Jaguars got a walkover against Kada Queens and Kada Stars of Nigeria, respectively. Nigeria withdrew the 2 teams from the competition yesterday, citing financial problems. Meanwhile, Kenya Police went down 5-4 against Shakia of Egypt despite their spirited efforts to equalize in the last quarter of play in a match staged at Sikh Union Club. This year's edition of the Africa Cup of Club Championship will climax on Sunday after 1 week of play. Nora Mwangi for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Nora, for that report. Moving on, Homeboys RFC player Branson Madigu will play for the National Rugby Sevens team Shujaa for the first time in the next two legs of the HSBC Sevens World Series in Los Angeles and Vancouver. Madigu was the only new name included in the 13-man Kenyan squad named yesterday. Shujaa will head out for the next two legs, starting with Los Angeles on the 25th and 26th of this month before traveling to Vancouver on the 3rd to the 5th of March. The Kenyan team will be hoping for a better outing this time round after collecting 21 points in the first 5 legs of the season. New Zealand remains in total control of the standings heading into the 6th leg with 85 points, 9 points above second-placed South Africa. Hong Kong are bottom with just a single point. Zimbabwean visitor Mapuaya fired a round of 3 under par 68 to claim the season-ending leg of the Safari Tour Golf Series on a 3 under 281 at the Muthaiga Golf Club. Mapuaya earned a slot at the next month's Magical Kenya Open.
Zimbabwean visitor Mapuanya earned 300,000 shillings for winning the season-ending leg of the Safari Tour Golf Series, but finished second on the Safari Tour Order of Merit, earning a slot at next month's Magical Kenya Open.
I've been knocking on the door every tournament, leading, then end up missing cut, losing the tournament on a playoff, things like that. But I never back down to my challenges. I always face them and go through it.
The Kenyan trio of Justus Madoya, Mutai Kibugu and Greg Snow finished joint second on 2 under par 282 and each took home 170,000 shillings. Elsewhere, the Kenya Open Golf Limited has named the Kenyan players who will play at the Magical Kenya Open. Safari Tour Series winner Greg Snow will be joined by Samuel Njoroge, Dismas Indiza, Daniel Nduva, Justus Madoya, Mutai Kibugu, Simon Ngige and Mike Kisia.
Setting of the course for the Kenya Open is going to be extremely different from what you've got today. So it is all about your preparation, not about how much practice you've done. That's the key thing about going forward. So please, I'd like to, for the sake of the countries where you come from, and to make a good account of yourselves, practice and practice, but remember, at the day you start, that course on that day isn't going to be the one that you played the previous day.
Ugandan Ronald Rugamoyo joins Mapuanya as the other regional qualifier. The Magical Kenya Open will be played at the Muthaiga Golf Club from the 9th to 12th of March.
Thank you, Buckley, for that report. Some of Kenya's athletes have embarked on a mission to raise funds to support heart care for children who cannot afford the cost for surgery. Led by James Bowra, the athletes are running from Kisumu to Mombasa, a journey of about 920 kilometers to raise 10 million Kenya shillings for children heart surgeries in the country.
Athletes is on a mission to raise funds to assist children from humble backgrounds who are in dire need of heart surgery. James Mwaura is one athlete running from Kisumu to Mombasa to try and raise over 10 million shillings to cater for open surgery for children from humble backgrounds.
The journey from Kisumu to this place actually has been, with lots of challenges, lots of experiences, good ones and bad ones. But the main thing is that we thank God because we've been able to create the awareness and we've been able to connect with people who care for these kids.
The athletes are running under the Care for a Child's Heart Foundation, which is reaching out to needy families and offering medical support to children ailing from heart diseases.
This year we seek to do 100 surgeries, and we believe with your support we'll be able to reach this target. Each surgery goes for about between $1 million bob and 1.5 million Kenya shillings, and we believe with your support we'll be able to reach this target. Last year we did 43 surgeries, and we're hoping to up our numbers and assist more kids. We have over 300 children on our waiting list, and with your support we believe we'll be able to help these kids and save these hearts, each heart at a time.
The foundation has sponsored over 260 surgeries locally and abroad and offered support to over 600 families.
The Ministry of Youth Affairs, the Arts and Sports has launched 2 technical committees to lead the Talanta Hela initiative, which seeks to identify, nurture and monetize sports and creative arts talent. Speaking during the launch at the Kasarani Stadium, Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba said the Talanta Hela project seeks to revolutionize the sports and the creative space into a mega industry that significantly contributes to the economic transformation of the country. The Talanta Hela Initiative Council will be chaired by Namwamba, supported by PS's Jonathan Mweke, Ismail Malim and Belio Kipsang. The 2 technical committees for sports and the creative arts will be chaired by Carol Radul and Daniel Ndambuki, respectively.
Talanta Hela is all about monetizing talents. And so this is all about turning the talents of our people into money. So we'll be providing a portal where you can share with us your talents. You are in Narok and you believe you can play football. Take a 2-minute clip, upload it onto the Talanta Hela platform, and it will be picked up from our command center at Kasarani.
And that story brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. It's my time to tell you bye, but the bulletin is not yet over. My colleague John Jacob Kioria has an interview on matters banditry. It's a matter that's affecting my country people, so we will definitely listen into. He's in the other side of the studio, and Kioria, I'm waiting to see you.
Absolutely.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
All right, it's time for us to engage in that conversation about the renewed assault in the north of Kenya, particularly on the Operation Komesha Uhalifu North Rift. Joining me in studio this evening is Dr. Ariko John, the Member of Parliament for Turkana South in Turkana County, and Peter Lokachapong, the MP for Sigor in West Pokot. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. Karibuni sana.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Probably let me begin with you, the Honourable Member for Turkana South. The grace period for disarmament probably expires tomorrow. From the reception of your constituents, what do they feel generally about the operation, the joint operation between the KDF and the Kenya Police?
Thank you, John. First of all, I need to appreciate for your invitation, hosting us in this KBC prime time to shed some light on what is happening in the North Rift. My people have received this positively, and as leaders from Turkana County, we've approved what the government has decided to do, just to root out what is happening, the problems that we are suffering as a Turkana people.
Mheshimiwa Sigor, would want also to hear your views from, the views of the people of Sigor and the people of West Pokot. Mheshimiwa Lokachapong.
Thank you very much, Kioria, for inviting us here and hosting us for this show. I want to say that the reception by the people of Sigor is positive. However, they also feel that when that operation is undertaken, then they should also be given alternatives, ways of trying to take care of themselves and take care of their property, because they are aware that our neighbors.
Who are your neighbors?
Our neighbors, we have Ariko and the team, that is the Turkana.
You mean Turkana?
We have the Marakwet, they are also our neighbors, and those are our immediate neighbors. So we expect that if operation and disarmament is going to be done, then it should be done to everybody,
so that in this time we should not have a case where, or a situation where some people are disarmed and others are not.
We'll talk about selective disarmament in a bit.
Yes.
But when you say you want government to give you alternatives, what are these alternatives you mean, Mheshimiwa Lokachapo?
That I would expect a situation where the government will be closer to people, so that they take care of their lives and property. And there is a fear that when operations are done, normally they are targeted at certain areas and neglecting others. So I'm saying that it would be good if it is done impartially and it is done objectively and it is done on everybody, so that we don't have selective disarmament, so that we don't have a section of Kenyans feeling that probably this thing was targeted at them. So that's what I would expect.
There was a last disarmament, Mheshimiwa, the member of parliament for Turkana South. And the last disarmament, it left the members of the Turkana community saying there was selective disarmament in the sense that they were disarmed selectively and other communities not disarmed. Is that so? Was that what happened?
That is very true, John. First of all, the people of Turkana want peace and disarmament. But the problem now will arise where do we start? Do we start with peace or do we start with disarmament? We still remember the last time disarmament was done. It was done selectively by the previous regimes. Give an example where our colleagues, our neighbors from West Pokot, during the time of disarmament, they ran away to the neighboring country. Remember?
Uganda?
Remember, these people have dual citizenship. Do you know that? Are you aware of that? These people have dual.
That's a wild claim to make.
And then again, giving these people a grace period of 3 days is enough to make them move to Uganda or to other places or across the mountains, because they know the terrain of West Pokot, our security agencies do not have capacity.
So you think there should not have been the grace period of surrendering arms?
The government knew where these people were at the time of attacking the police and the Turkana people. The government knew. I've been making a lot of noise in Turkana County, telling the government we have a lot of Pokots in my constituency, and they have a lot of guns. They were grazing along the highway, and you could see what they have, the kind of weapons, the ammunition they had. This can be confirmed by the security forces.
All right.
Yeah.
This disarmament we're talking about, because you're leaders now, and the people watching are looking up to you, provide solutions. Mheshimiwa Lokachapo, why hasn't disarmament worked before?
Yeah, maybe if you pronounce my name correctly, it's Lochakapong.
Lochakapong.
Yes.
Okay, apologies.
I want to say this, that, we have lived with our neighbors, the Turkana, for a long time. From the time I was born, I found that our neighbors are Turkana, our neighbors are Marakwet. Sigor constituency borders Turkana East and Turkana South. And for some time, we have lived with peace relatively for some time, until I think towards the general election of last year is when we began seeing some incidences of insecurity between us and the Turkana. But before that, in the last term of parliament, we have had peace with our neighbors, the Turkana. And the Turkana and the Pokot have coexisted for over time. They have small disputes, they sort themselves, and they move on. So I want to say that, just for the record, that during the last term of parliament, in Kainok, in Lokechar, in Kakong, in Kalemorog, we used to go there as people from West Pokot, as people from Sigor, and there was no issue. The only issue came up towards the general election. When leaders now are looking for positions. Now that's when that insecurity came out, and we started seeing a few elements trying to take advantage of that campaign period, and they caused some insecurity. So they tried to bring animosity between us and our neighbors, the Turkana, which we had finished that problem. Remember that time.
But the insecurity problem along that area is not one you would trace to 2022.
I'm saying,
it has always existed.
I am saying we had made efforts.
You had made efforts.
Yes, and those efforts bore fruit. So I was going to say now, with the leadership now, when my colleague came in, we would team up together and continue with the same peace that we had started. And this thing did not even begin when I came in as MP. It began way back in, I think, 2014. And we wanted now to pick up from there and then continue with it. Of course, we will always have some small problems here and there, some few people within the community, but now that should not be taken to be a community problem. So if, as leaders, we stay above board, we were going to manage this thing. And for a long time, and I think my colleague will bear witness with me, the Turkana and the Pokot have always grazed together, until almost recently. And they always agree, because we have peace committees, they engage. When the Pokot moved to Turkana, they engage the peace committees there, they agree, you bring us a bull, we slaughter this one. We now get to how we are going to engage, how we are going to graze together in this case. Now there's a new dimension coming in. And I think that's not what is bringing problems, that we don't want to stay together. Remember, the Turkana and the Pokot are pastoralists. And you see, for pastoralists, they will always move from one point to another. And especially now during a time like this when we have severe drought. They will move and then come back when rain is coming.
Let me cut you short so that I hear the Honorable Arika, because what the Member of Parliament for Sigor is saying is that you have existed before, because you mentioned there are a number of Pokots that you say are in your constituency. Yes. But he's saying you have existed together before. True. This is as a result of politics.
It's very true, we have existed. Remember, the Turkana person is human. The human attraction of a Turkana person has made it get what it has gotten now into. A Turkana person will always accept neighbors, will always give food to neighbors. But unfortunately, our colleagues from the other side, they have been grazing in our land without any complaint. Unfortunately, the atrocities they make when they are staying with us is really bad. Some
of the atrocities?
The burning of schools, burning of houses, villages. You can remember the issue of Lokwara and Nakuse. They burned it. And when policemen tried to follow them, they found them along the Kademwe or South Turkana National Reserve. And that's when the fight ensued between the terrorists, the Pokot terrorists, the internal terrorists, and the police. And that's why you saw animals were brought down. Yeah.
I want us to talk about politics because it is very important. And I think you've had some sentiments made by the governor for Trans Nzoia County, who has been the regional commissioner for that area, about the role of politics in what we are seeing. And I want to start with you, the Member of Parliament for Sigor. Is there an element of politics in what we are seeing today? Directly, and not just about the politics of, that started in 2022. Are there politicians, for example, from Pokot, your county, that are funding the war?
I don't believe, and I have not seen any politician from West Pokot trying to aid or trying to support or trying to fund bandits or cattle rustlers. I have not seen that. But what I want to say that is in many instances, and you've heard this being said, that communities will enjoy moments of peace or moments of conflict depending on their leaders. It will always depend on how we speak. What we say by word of mouth is what our people take. That's why it's believed that leaders play a critical role in bringing communities together or putting them into conflict. Like, for example, if we work together with my brother here, the MP for Turkana South, the community, Turkana and the Pokot see us working together. They will definitely pick something from there, and chances are we will enjoy moments of peace. But if I make a statement, a reckless statement about the Turkana, he makes about the Pokot, they will now say, since our leader is saying this, it looks like these guys are bad. So I wanted to call upon the leaders, and more so the elected leaders, right from the MCA to the governor. Let us not get the impression or the perception or the attitude that certain leaders are not for peace. It is from, and it will not make our communities to coexist peacefully. And there is no way we are going. We found ourselves there. They will continue to be our neighbors. The best thing to do is to come together, agree, and talk to our people on how we are going to work together for peace. I'm sure everybody, including the communities, will want peace.
Do you know anybody from the Turkana side, a politician probably, that is suspect of funding the banditry?
No, I don't know of anybody. You know, there are statements put back and forth about the statements and sentiments made by leaders. And that is what communities speak. So if we can review some of the things that they have said, then probably from there you can analyze. You can do an analysis and now know that probably this could be some of the statements that are causing problems.
All right.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, probably from your side, do you know of any politician that is funding the banditry, all these skirmishes we're seeing in the north of Kenya from the Turkana community?
The emerging trend of insecurity is politically motivated.
Politically motivated.
The emerging trend of insecurity in Turkana is politically motivated.
By?
Most of our colleagues from the other side, they want to expand their territory. Secondly, I just want to explain myself why I'm saying, or let me just start by saying, my colleague here does not feel any pain that a member of a representative of Turkana South feels as of now, because I'm the one affected by the current castle wrestling for the last 1 year.
Kainuki is in your constituency?
Yeah, that's my constituency.
Yes.
But if you ask my colleague here, whether this pain has been inflicted to him during the last 1 year, he will confirm not Turkana has attacked his constituency. But from last year, the person most affected is my constituency. And that's why I feel the way I feel as a member, a representative of the great people of Turkana South.
So the politics
so let me just continue. Remember when police caught the 7 boys, Pokot boys, when they were being followed from Nakuse and Lokwara up to where they were caught by police. Those boys were the one who burned the houses, who burned the schools. They were caught by police, they were taken to the court. When they were taken to Lokicher, law courts, the leadership requested those boys to be transferred to Trans Nzoia, that is Kitale. From that point, that's when they ferried those boys with a chopper, right from Kitale to Kadengwe. They landed in Kadengwe. That is my constituency, South Turkana National Reserve. What does that tell you?
By fair, you mean?
What does that tell you? There's something happening.
There's something happening. You know, as you respond to that very quickly, because when you get people who have the audacity to kill 4 police officers, and this is not the first time that police officers are dying. In
addition to the 3
yes,
lives we lost in Kahom.
Of course, in addition to the members of the public that the lives were lost.
And 2 in Lokwara.
What is the solution? Because you're saying the government should give you alternatives. The Member of Parliament for Sigor. You're saying government should give you alternatives. But in this case, what alternatives remain, Mheshimiwa?
I think before we go to alternatives, I want to respond to what my colleague has said. Yeah. That from Sigor constituency we are feeling no pain. It's not true. Because over the last, let's say 3 months, or over the last 4 months, or over the last 5 months, we have lost people. We have buried them. And it's as a result of the conflict between us and the Turkana. But we are not, we don't want to have that collective, let's say, punishment or collective condemnation of the Turkana community. You know, we have a few elements within the Turkana who do not want peace. And you know, when they do something on the Pokot side, you know, we don't want to take it is the Turkana. We don't want that. So we have statistics, we have records of people we have lost in Sigor. And it is because of the Turkana. But we don't want to say the Turkana are very bad per se. We are only talking of within the Turkana, we have people who do not want peace. And who will always, even in the middle of peace, peaceful coexistence, they will want to come and steal 5 cows, 3 goats or something like that, then they walk away with that. That one is there. And we also have Pokots who go to the Turkana and do that. So we wanted to say that that is a situation we can contain if we work with the leadership. It is possible, as with the Turkana, we can do that. But if an incident occurs where one person has gone to Turkana, stolen about 5 or 6 goats, and then now we say, you know, we want to raid the Pokot. That is very wrong. Now, the case of we want land. The Pokots are expansionists. It's wrong. You know, we are pastoralists, like them. Now, in cases, when you get to a point like now, for now, where we are in drought, the pastors will always move to where there is pasture, where there is water, for some time. So when rains come, they move back.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. One time I was discussing with my colleague here, and he knew, and it's not the first time, he found it like that our people were grazing together in Kadingwi. His people and my people. He knows, I know. They coexisted, and somehow they found a way of working together. And I was even telling him, I shared with him in Parliament here that, you know, those guys, we will need to look for resources, and we construct for them a dam so that they don't move from Kadengwe all the way to the river, which is very far. Then he told me, okay, that we will sit down and see, because we appreciate that our people are living together, they are grazing together, and they have no problem. So what happened? Now the case of the 7 boys and the burning of the cars or the police vehicles. How did it start? You know, these guys were living together in a place around Kaputuru. Is it Kaputuru or I don't even know the name? Lokwar. Call it Lokwar. And you know now, the Pokos are there, the Turkana are also there. And you know, the Turkanas, mainly they live around centers in that place. And then now, I think a few elements within that village, we now is called a center, and I think there's a school there, began now stealing 1, 2 cows, 3 cows, like that. I'm telling you the fact. No, fine. I'm telling you as it is. Then after that now people now say, okay, these are our neighbors, these are the people we've agreed to stay together. Why are they doing this to us? And then you see, from something small, something happens. Like now the touching of burning of houses. The houses in a village, just because of what they did to these people. Then after that, now the police come in. And instead of being objective and impartial, they kill animals. Over 100 cows. And you see, these cows are just crossing, they are a road going to graze. And then the police kill cows. What had the cows done? Nothing. They didn't kill anybody. They were not confronted. They didn't get into a confrontation with anybody. And then that will happen. So they kill cows like today. Then the following day, in the afternoon, they again abduct 7 boys and take them to Lekichar. It's an abduction. It is not the same time where these cows were killed. It was not an engagement. All right. That is the reality.
Let me hear the response to Mheshimiwa before I ask the last question, and then we wind up. Very quickly.
Okay, I want to appreciate what my colleague here had discussed with me. We had a conversation in Parliament over the same issue that he has raised. That is very true. But unfortunately, anything that is happening, the fights between Pokot and Turkanas happens within the jurisdiction of Turkana County. Not in Sigor. It has never happened in Sigor. He has not told you there is something of the sort that happened in the Sigor constituency. These events happen in Turkana. Happen in Turkana. We have invited them peacefully to coexist with the Turkana. The issue of burning their houses came as a result of evicting the Turkana community from that particular village. It's not about there were some animals that were stolen. That is very false. It's not true. Let me just confirm that.
It's not true.
So basically, leadership, politically instigated insecurity, it is there. So if the government want to sort out this issue once and for all, personally, as a representative of the Turkana people, Turkana South people, I need my colleague, I need Honorable Chakapong here to take his people back to the constituency so that we can start the issue of conversation.
That is what you want?
Yeah, that's my prayer. That's my prayer.
Let me ask you this jointly.
So that if you come to graze in Turkana County, you come with a structured way of grazing. All right. So that if anything happens at that particular time or particular location, we know we'll be responsible for that.
In a minute, because there are people out there wondering, when will you, for example, the Member of Parliament for Sigor, the Member of Parliament for Turkana South, call your constituents together and then, emphasize on the need for peace and coexistence? When will that happen?
Personally, I had a discussion, a conversation with my colleague here over the same. And this conversation arose when I had this a peacekeeping body in Turkana going around trying to bring the Turkana and the Pokos together on the issues of peace. I refused that because what I was requesting these peace ambassadors, I needed them to bring out what we call cell peace. Cell peace from Turkanas themselves, cell peace in West Pokot themselves, so that at a later stage, you bring these warring communities together. But first of all, you need to start with the leadership. If leadership accepts, remember these people were elected. The elected member of parliaments, elected MCS, elected governors, these people are elected by this community. This community is in a better position of accepting what the leadership will say.
All right.
So first of all, let's start with making peace with the leadership. Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, for Sigurd, very quickly, the response.
Yeah, thank you. I want to say that, I think my friend here and will agree with me that we have existed for quite some time with our neighbors. And normally, the pastoralists, people should not get the impression that the pastoralists are expansionists. People will always go and move looking for where we have resources for their cows, where we have water, where we have pasture. And for us, in this case, it is the Turkana, who are our neighbors, and they happen to have the grass. Probably they don't have the water, but they have the grass. So we'll move in there. So after that, and these people have stayed like this for a long time. Like I was now telling my brother, that thinking even of saying, let us look for a dam. Because these guys are living together and grazing together, let us look for a dam. That time there were no issues.
So when do you talk to
then I was saying, I was giving an example. In the time of the last parliament, we had a lot of series of meetings with the MP. So, in fact, I was telling him, I even told the MP for Turkana East, we need to organize and move together, go and talk to our people together. So we were in that process now, before these other things came up. And then this idea of saying now, first of all, because I had my brother talk one time, I think I saw it on media, that before we even negotiate or talk about anything, let people move. That is now taking a position.
He has said that he wants to.
I've repeated but that's not correct. The thing is if he believes that as the leadership can get a solution, forget about, because this is not something that is new, forget about that. So we would begin by engaging, and then after that, now look at who are causing this problem. Then from there, as leaders, we come together, and then we pursue the idea of peace.
All right.
And then again, I want to put this correctly, that it is wrong. It is not correct that the Pokots, and I think that has even gotten into the minds of government, which is very wrong, that the Pokots have expansionist tendencies. It is wrong. Because you see, the Pokots are pastoralists. The only problem with us is our neighbors happen also to be pastoralists, and that's why we're in conflict. And then what they are not telling you, the Turkana, they are also in conflict with Karamojong of Uganda, they are in conflict with the Toposa of Sudan, and the Nyagatom of Ethiopia.
Let's concentrate on Kenya. I see you raising your hand.
Yes.
What's up? You okay?
I just want to demonstrate.
Very quickly.
To demonstrate how these people are a bother to all the neighboring communities.
That's what I'm explaining.
Marakwet, Baringo, Samburu, Turkana. Can you imagine, same person?
Okay. What we will do, because the operation starts after tomorrow, I'll call you up again here so that we can monitor the operation and how is it going, particularly in flashing out banditry. And probably by then you'll have agreed a bit on how you will respond as leaders.
But John, operation for what? These guys have left.
Thank you.
Thank you. These guys have left.
Nobody has gone anywhere.
We have to wind up. Thank you very much for watching. Have yourself a fantastic night. God bless.